About the whole.
about being in the hospital.
Yeah.
And like West Virginia.
Oh, you were?
Yeah, and I was in high school.
Oh, Before I ask for an approval of the agenda, we want to notice that our city manager, Mr. Mike New, is back in living color for his first commission meeting. Now, he's a champ. He sat in a P&Z meeting also, too, just to get back into shape, you know, so he's ready to go. But I have told him that if he starts to fatigue, to please just go ahead and go on home tonight. We will all understand. So if he starts to fade over, Dallas, just to like pick him up and take him out of the room and say, go, or call Melinda. She'll come up and get him, you know. Before I ask for an approval of the agenda, I need to pull on behalf of the applicant item 14 off. Item 14 is off.
So moved with the amendment.
Okay, I have a motion from Commissioner Martin with the amendment, a second from Commissioner Mazon. Any comments or questions? I don't know if you fellas heard me down there. I'm pulling item 14 off. Any questions? Brian?
Mr. Mayor, they did want to ask that it was postponed time certain to 9/26.
9/26. So
Yes,
we'll
sir.
bring it back at the next commission meeting, 9/26.
So moved.
Okay, I still have a motion from Commissioner
Second.
Martin and a second from Commissioner Mazon. Any questions from the dais? Public questions? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. That's going to take us to our invocation from Pastor Douglas Russell from Union Baptist. Thank you, sir, for coming up here tonight and offering us the invocation. If you would, please rise for the invocation and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance, which will immediately follow.
Let us pray. Father, we thank you for this opportunity to be gathered together. I thank you for a city who meets. We know that where nations fail to counsel each other in your place and seek you, then they fail. And so we don't want to be that, and we're blessed that we're here to do that. I pray for these, each and every one, the community they represent, the holding they represent, the position that they have taken on a service, God, that you would give them what they need every day to be the people of God you've called them to be. That everything that's said and done here would honor you, that we'd be righteous and holy people in all things, especially in counsel. So guide them, protect them, keep them safe, and may everything that's said and done be a blessing to you and honor you, but also take care of this community and the people that reside in it. In your holy name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Pastor. If you are here tonight, I think Sierra's saying that right now. Perfect. That's going to take us to presentations, which we have none. Public announcements. Ladies and gentlemen, your commission likes to hear from you early and often. So if you have anything you'd like to talk to the commission about that's not on the agenda, tonight now would be the time to do it. You have 2 minutes to bring up things to them. If you have something that's more controversial, you want a little more time, there's a 5-minute section to talk to the commission about things that aren't on the agenda as well. Does anybody have any public announcements? You came all the way out in the rain. No?
A public announcement.
Public announcements.
Good evening, everyone.
Come on down. That was a good announcement. I like it. Ms. Gaffney, did you want to, public announcements?
I want to address your increase in the water rates.
Okay, all right. We'll do that then. And that takes us to consent agenda. I have a motion to approve the consent agenda. I have a motion from Commissioner Coleman, second from Commissioner Martin. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. And that is going to take us to our public hearings. And I have a script, right? So that we don't get off track and we make sure we hit all points. Assistant City Manager Dallas always writes up this handy dandy script for us, cheat sheets, and this is Resolution 2022-57.
You should start reading those, bro.
Okay. So the City of Newberry Commission hereby convenes a public hearing on the City of Newberry's fiscal year 2022-23 tentative millage and tentative budget as required by Florida statutes, Chapter 129 and 200, as advertised in the Truth and Millage trim notices. If anyone in our audience is here for the purpose of contesting their tax assessment, a petition for adjustment with the Value Adjustment Board should have been filed no later than 5 p.m. today, September 12, 2022. The petition forms are available in the property appraiser's office. This evening, we'll take a number of actions related to the adoption of millage and budgets. The final public hearing on these matters will be held on Monday, September 26, 2022 at 7 p.m. in the same location, Newberry City Hall chambers. I encourage you, if you've not already done so, to get a copy of the agenda so you may more easily follow the proceedings this evening. Citizen comments will be taken following the overview of the proposed budget by the city manager and assistant city manager CFO. The city attorney will now present an overview of the truth and millage legislation, followed by the city manager and assistant city manager's explanations of the tentative and rollback millage rates. Mr. Attorney?
Mr. Mayor, in 1980, the Florida legislature adopted what is known as the Truth and Millage legislation, or TRIM as it's called. The goal of the legislation was to ensure that taxpayers were advised of the public hearings at which the local taxing authorities' budgets and millage rates are considered and adopted. Each year, the property appraiser completes an assessment of the value of all property and certifies to each taxing authority the taxable value of the property within its jurisdiction. Each taxing authority then notifies the property appraiser of the proposed millage rate, its rollback rate, and the date, time, and place of the public hearing to consider the proposed millage rate and proposed budget. Once the property appraiser receives the information, he sends a notice by first-class mail to every taxpayer on the assessment roll. The notice contains the information from the taxing authorities as to the proposed millage rate and the time and the place of the public hearing. The notice sent to the taxpayers is what is called the TRIM notice. The TRIM notice lists what the taxes were for the prior year, what the taxes will be if the proposed budget changes are made, and what the taxes will be if no budget changes are made. This information is listed for each taxing authority. The notice also lists all voted levies for debt service. The purpose of the TRIM notice is to provide taxpayers with sufficient basic information to enable them to participate in the public hearing process.
Mr. Mayor, the presentation of the budget for the Commission's consideration is one of my most important duties as your manager. As mandated by Florida law and our city's charter, I am happy to present you with a balanced budget. This year's tentative budget presents particular challenges. We're operating in a period of financial uncertainty. Inflation is continuing to increase, and natural gas prices are skyrocketing. Inflation is affecting everything we do in government, from energy to construction materials to goods and services. Costs are rising. Supply chain constraints continue to add pressure to our operations as we become increasingly difficult for us to obtain the items we need. This is particularly difficult for us as our commission is poised to undertake several major capital improvement projects. Additionally, our workforce has not been insulated from the Great Resignation, and we continue to struggle to attract and keep talented employees. Recent studies reveal that in addition to baby boomers retiring, Americans are leaving work due to low pay, the lack of opportunity for advancement, feeling disrespected in the workplace, and feeling unfulfilled at work. Our team takes these challenges very seriously, and we are working to create an environment where people can flourish, grow, and serve our residents to the best of their ability. My budget message is simple. Facing these uncertainties, we must exercise fiscal prudence and caution. Therefore, it is my recommendation that with few exceptions, we adopt a continuation budget. The budget that I present to you tonight builds on the foundation that the Commission has set for sound financial planning and works to balance the cost of providing service to residents with the economic pressures that we know our community is facing. During this year's budget process, the Commission held 4 budget workshops to publicly discuss the budget for fiscal year 23. I'll note that that is the first year that we've held only 4 workshops, that in previous years the Commission felt it important to have 6 or more workshops. I'm not saying that's related to me not being here or not, just an observation. This budget was prepared with a focus on the city's future. We want our community to look like what we want our community to look like and how we get there. This year, we completed a strategic visioning process to align our residents and our commission's long-term goals. City staff used the strategic plan as a roadmap in developing the budget and ensured that we incorporated the goals of the plan into this year's funding plan. The commission clearly heard our community's desire for focus on long-term infrastructure by funding the expansion and extension of 2 downtown roads to alleviate traffic and provide connectivity, investment in our water and wastewater infrastructure, and the expansion of City Hall to provide our residents with a single place to conduct their business with the city. The budget incorporates the goals and objectives set forth in the strategic plan by continuing these important infrastructure projects. In addition to these investments in our future, this commission has prioritized the hard work of our staff who make all these projects happen and who are constantly setting the bar high for local government. The commission has once again shown that they trust and believe in our staff by providing merit raises, continuing to work on lowering the cost of dependent health care, and funding a compensation study to ensure our staff are being fairly compensated and equitably for their work. On top of that, this commission continues to embark down a road to implement impact fees. This tool will provide future commissions for decades to come the tools needed to continue properly planned for the city's growth and for our very bright future. This budget is funded with a tentative millage rate of 5.9244 mills. This is the property tax reduction for our residents. The rate and budget set at the hearing tonight is what will be advertised and is the highest tax rate the commission can adopt. The commission can lower the property tax rate at the final hearing if it chooses. There are no rate increases for fire assessment or any other taxes. With the vision of the commission and our community at the forefront, your staff has spent an enormous amount of time weighing the available funding and the many competing needs for providing services to our community. I want to thank our department heads and the other charter officers for being cognizant of the unique challenges that we face and for the present budget that reflects the goal of reducing the burden on our city taxpayers while providing the highest level of service. Dallas Lee, our Assistant City Manager / Chief Financial Officer, will now lead us through a discussion of the millage and the budget.
One of the requirements of the truth in millage legislation is to provide information about why tentative millage rates are higher or lower than the rolled back millage rate. The tentative millage rate for the city of Newberry is 5.9244 mils, which is 0.0% more than the rolled back rate of 5.9244 mils. The rolled back rate is defined as the millage rate which, exclusive of new construction, additions to structure, deletions, and property added due to geographic boundary changes, will provide the same ad valorem tax revenue for each taxing authority as was levied during the prior year. The City of Newberry's tentative millage rate is the rate at which the City Commission has, through due study and consideration, determined is needed to fund the municipal operations of the City of Newberry in the best interest, public health, and welfare of its citizens. The tentative millage rate is the same rate as the rolled back rate. The trim process requires that a notice of tax increase be advertised when the current year proposed aggregate millage rate exceeds the calculated aggregate rolled back millage rate. The aggregate rolled back millage rate is calculated by dividing the prior year estimated property tax revenue by the current year taxable property value divided by 1,000. The current year taxable value does not include new construction and annex values. For the 2022 tax year, the proposed millage rate of 5.9244 is 0.0% greater than the rollback rate of 5.9244. The primary driver of a lower rollback rate is the addition of new homes and businesses onto our tax rolls. Mr. Mayor, the 2022-2023 tentative budget summary for all funds of the City of Newberry summarizes all revenue and other financing sources available to the city in the amount of $20,984,455 and reserves brought forward in the amount of $11,876,638 for total revenue and other financing sources available to the city in the amount of $32,861,093, and appropriations in the amount of $23,278,977, with reserves appropriated in the amount of $9,582,116, for total appropriations of $32,861,093. This is a net decrease from your amended fiscal year 2022 budget of $33,130,968. The proposed general fund budget is $12,628,524. The proposed capital improvement fund budget is $834,800. The proposed special revenue funds budgets total $2,976,938. The proposed enterprise funds budgets total $15,366,410. The proposed internal service funds budgets is $1,054,421. Mr. Mayor, that concludes my comments on the tentative budgets presented to you this evening. I'd be happy to answer any questions about the budget at this time.
Does the commission have any questions for staff? Okay. Citizen comments on the proposed millage rates. Seeing none. Okay, I'd now like to invite citizens, oh, I just did that, right? Fiscal year proposed millage, please come forward to the podium. Anyone who want to talk about the proposed millage rates? Okay. I'm going to close the public comment section of this hearing, and we will move to 2022-23 proposed millage and proposed budgets. Mr. CFO.
Mr. Mayor, the document included in your agenda packet is the City of Newberry fiscal year 2022-2023 budget summary and includes the items that were described earlier. Any additional adjustments to the tentative budget and millage should be made by motion at this time. As a reminder, the millage rate that the commission adopts now will be the highest rate the commission can adopt at its final hearing.
Does the commission wish to make any adjustments to the tentative budget or millage? Okay.
Florida statutes require that the name of the taxing authority, the millage rate to be levied, the rollback rate, and the percentage increase over the rollback rate be publicly announced. Accordingly, the City of Newberry City Commission has determined that a proposed millage rate of 5.9244 mils is necessary to fund the tentative general municipal budget. This is less than the property tax that was levied in the prior year. The proposed millage rate represents an increase of 0.0% from the rollback rate of 5.9244 mils.
Okay, Mr. Attorney.
Yes, sir. Mr. Mayor and City Commissioners, the resolution before you right now is Resolution 2022-57, which I will read by title only. This is a resolution determining and adopting the tentative rate of taxation on real and personal property and making the annual levying of ad valorem taxes for the City of Newberry, Florida for the fiscal year 2022-2023 and providing an effective date. The appropriate motion is to approve Resolution 2022-57 as read by title only.
Do I have that motion?
So moved.
I have a motion from Commissioner Martin, second from Commissioner Maison. Any questions or comments on the motion on the floor from the commission? Any questions or comments on the motion on the floor from the public? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Mr. Attorney.
Mr. Mayor and City Commissioners, the resolution that is before you next is Resolution 2022-58, and I'll read this by title only as well. This is a resolution of the City of Newberry, Florida, relating to the city's budget for the 2022-2023 fiscal year, providing for the tentative appropriation of funds of the City of Newberry for the fiscal year beginning October 1, 2022, and ending September 30th, 2023, approving a proposed general city budget, setting a public hearing date, providing for publication of notice, and providing an effective date. The appropriate motion is to approve Resolution 2022-58 as read by title only.
Do I have that motion?
So moved.
I have a motion from Commissioner Coleman, a second from Commissioner Farnsworth. Any comments or questions on the motion on the floor from the dais? Public comments or questions on the motion on the floor? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Mr. Assistant Manager.
A public hearing will be held to consider the final millage rates and the final budget for the general city purposes on Monday, the 26th of September, 2022 at 7:00 p.m. or soon thereafter as the matter may be heard in the Newberry City Hall City Commission Chambers at 25440 West Newberry Road, Newberry, Florida. Mr. Mayor and City Commissioners, the next four items relate to your utilities. The City of Newberry establishes utility rates to generate revenue sufficient to meet its operating expenses. Staff evaluates utility rates annually during the budget process and, if warranted, recommends rates be adjusted. Staff utilizes models for developing its utility rates to forecast customers' electric and water consumption, wastewater generation, and the anticipated expenses to determine whether rates will produce revenues which are sufficient to meet the expenses associated with providing utility services. Many of the city's costs continue to rise or are fixed, such as personnel, services, fuel, and repairs. At the City Commission's utility budget workshop, city staff presented the proposed rate changes to the City Commission, and the Commission gave consensus to include those rates in the tentative budget. Residential electric rates are proposed to be adjusted by 1.5% for average residential impact of $1.55 per month. Non-residential rates are proposed to be adjusted in a similar fashion. These rate adjustments are required to maintain the financial position of the utility and support funding of future required infrastructure investments. This adjustment will begin in January 2023, as estimated natural gas prices are expected to be lower and consumption of our customers will be reduced. With these rate adjustments, our electric rates will continue to be competitive within our region and the state. Customers were properly notified in their August bills, and the city will need to file additional reports with the Public Service Commission to inform them of the proposed rate changes.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor, and the Commissioners. The item that is before you next is Ordinance 2022-41. I'll read this by title only. This is an ordinance of the City of Newberry, Florida, pertaining to electric utility services within the City of Newberry to amend and revise Section 98-63 subsections 1, 2, 3, and 8 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Newberry pertaining to the energy charged, providing for codification of same, repealing all ordinances in conflict, and providing an effective date. The appropriate motion is to approve Ordinance 2022-41 upon its first reading by title only.
Do I have that motion? I have a motion from Commissioner Farnsworth, a second from Commissioner Clark. Any comments or questions on the motion on the floor from the dais? Public comments or questions on the motion on the floor? Seeing, you want to talk, this is electric, not water.
I'm sorry?
This is electric,
Okay,
not
so it's
water.
sort of all combined, but that's okay. I can-
Yeah,
I can-
I'll give you a signal when yours is up. Come on down, man.
I'm Lisa
Come on down.
Darling.
There you
I'm
go.
Lisa Darling. And I heard Brother Dallas say in his reading that adjustments, a notification was sent out in the August bills to all the customers of Newberry. Was it a form letter or was it something just on the bottom of the electric bill?
I'll let him answer that. I don't get an electric bill from,
Okay.
It
I
it
wish
was
I got
a
electric bill from the city of
full
Newberry.
letter-size sheet of paper, front and back, separate from the utility bill. Has a picture of a kid drinking a glass of water on it.
Okay. Okay.
all right. Any other comments or questions on the motion on the floor? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion passes unanimously. Mr. Assistant City Manager?
Wastewater rates are proposed to be adjusted by 2.5% in both the consumption and the residential customer charge for an average residential impact of $1.13 per month. This rate increase keeps the city's rates as the lowest residential rates in our area. The rate increases also work towards the Commission's goal of operating a self-sustaining utility enterprise. In accordance with the City Commission's policy, this rate increase is less than the Public Service Commission's published consumer price index for water and wastewater of 4.53%. Primary driver behind additional rate increases are permit compliance and inflationary factors. Customers were properly notified in their August bills of the proposed rate changes.
And Mr. Attorney?
Mr. Mayor, City Commissioners, the item before you is Ordinance 2022-43, an ordinance pertaining to wastewater service within the City of Newberry, amending the prior established rates in Section 98.98-155 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Newberry, amending ordinance number 2021-48, repealing all ordinances in conflict and providing an effective date. The appropriate motion is to approve ordinance 2022-43 upon its first reading by title only.
Do I hear that motion? I have a motion from Commissioner Farnsworth. Second from Commissioner Clark. Y'all are doing a good job spreading the love. I like it. Any comments or questions on the motion on the floor from the dais? Public comments or questions? This is wastewater. Okay. Hearing none, all those in favor signify. I got too many conversations. All pass, all pass. And there was no public comment. We're still waiting. Okay. Motion passes unanimously. Mr. Attorney? No, wait, I'm sorry.
Me.
We on 2022-43?
We're at the top of page 15, Mr. Mayor.
Top of page 15. Okay, Mr. CFO?
Water rates are proposed to be adjusted by 4.5% in the consumption charges and the residential customer charge, for an average residential impact of $1.09 per month. This rate increase keeps the city's rates as the lowest residential rates in our area. This rate increases works towards the commission goal of operating self-sustaining utility enterprises. In accordance with the City Commission's policy, this rate increase is commensurate with the Public Service Commission's Public Consumer Price Index for water and wastewater of 4.53%. Customers were properly notified in their August bills of the proposed rate changes.
Mr. Attorney?
Mr. Mayor, City Commissioners, the item before you is ordinance 2022-42. This is an ordinance pertaining to water service within the city of Newberry, amending the prior established rates and amending sections 98-154 of the Code of Ordinances of the city of Newberry, Florida. Amending ordinance number 2021-47, repealing all ordinances in conflict and providing an effective date. The appropriate motion is to approve ordinance 2022-42 upon its first reading by title only.
Okay, thank you, sir. Do I have that motion? I have a motion from Commissioner Martin, a second from Commissioner Coleman. Any comments, questions on the motion from the dais? Public comment, questions on the motion on the floor. Come on down, ma'am.
Thank you, Mayor and Commissioners. My name's Mary Gaffney. I live out in Countryway Town Square. I was here last year when you did the increase in our electric, our water, and our wastewater and garbage, okay? Just like everybody else, yes, inflation has hit all of us. My husband and I are at retiring age, and between the taxes going up and everything else, it's going to make it difficult for us to be able to retire. And I know the mayor's idea that I have read is that if we do these increases in little increments, it won't hurt so bad. I did a running, luckily I'm a paper saver, and I did some running of all my electric bills from 2020 and 2021 and 2022.
Are we talking about water rates or electric rates? Right now, we're talking about water rates.
I'm talking about in general, because it's
Okay.
the water rates.
We just have to keep our focus on water right
Okay.
now. We
All
got
right,
about
well,
2 more minutes.
The water rates, wastewater to me has been the biggest thing, because we don't get any kind of credit for what's going in the ground when we do our sprinklers, when we wash our cars. I know the city of Gainesville used to do that. The mayor told me they're no longer doing that. But, you know, our wastewater bill and water bill is higher than our electric bill. And there's 2 of us. That's my husband and I. And that just makes absolutely no sense to me. That I don't understand why the wastewater is double what we use in our water as opposed to there being a certain percentage, because obviously a lot of it's going into the ground. We have a new home, we have lawns to maintain. We haven't watered at all because of all the rains here lately, but I had the highest bill. We moved into our home in 2018 this past month, and we used 15,000 gallons of water. We did not even do our sprinkler system. This month's bill that we just got, I'm at 4,000 gallons. So something is not right, and this has just happened since, quote, the new meters put in. I've talked to many people in our community when I've been at the pool. Everybody's bill went up last month $100, and everybody's saying it's just the city's way of paying for the meters, which I've been told till I'm blue in the face that, you know, that's not the case. But somebody's got to explain I called, and somebody's got to explain to me how last month, not this past month, that the bill we just got, I used 4,000 gallons. The month before, I used 15, and we didn't water the yard. My husband does it manually. With all the rain we've had, there is something wrong.
All right, thank you, ma'am.
So
We're in the middle of a process right now, but if you'll stay till after this process is done, then we'll ask city staff to address some of those concerns, all right?
Okay, I appreciate that, but I still think that at this point, something has to be done to
Thank you, ma'am. We appreciate
relieve
it.
some of the community.
Okay, any other comments, questions on the motion on the floor? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Takes us to page 16.
Yes, sir.
Mr. CFO?
Mr. Mayor, development fees are collected to offset the impact development has on our utility infrastructure. These fees are charged against new construction at the time of permit issuance to offset the costs of the new infrastructure needs of the utility. These funds are held in trust fund and can only be used on the expansion and enhancement of the system. Water and wastewater fees are collected by equivalent residential units. The City Commission first adopted development fees in 2005 and last increased these fees in 2007. These fees have been critical in funding the utility system. The city's adopted comprehensive capital improvement plan plans for over $20 million in projects in the next several years, which are needed to support the development in the community. State law restricts the increase to 12.5% per year without a formal study. Staff proposes that we increase these rates by 12.5% in the FY 2023 budget and has identified funding in the budget to perform the formal study. Staff proposes increasing water rates from $788 by $98.50 to $886.50, and wastewater from $3,696 increased by $462 to $4,158.
Mr. Attorney?
Mr. Mayor and City Commissioners, the item before you is Ordinance 2022-44. This is an ordinance of the City of Newberry pertaining to utilities within the City of Newberry, amending Division 2 and Division 3 of Article 6, Chapter 98 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Newberry pertaining to water system development charges and sewer system development charges, repealing all ordinances in conflict and providing effective appropriate motion is to pass Ordinance 2022-44 upon its first reading by its title only.
Thank you, sir. Do I hear that motion? I have a motion from Commissioner Farnsworth, second from Commissioner Clark. Any comments, questions on the motion on the floor from the dais? Public comments or questions on the motion on the floor? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. This concludes the first public hearing of the city's Newberry's fiscal year 2023 budget and millage rates. A final public hearing will be held to consider the final millage rates and a final budget for general city purposes on Monday, the 26th, excuse me, of September 2022 at 7:00 p.m. That takes us all the way through item 11. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we're on item 12. Before we move to item 11, Commissioner Martin has done a very good job articulating the water rates. I've tried a couple of times. Dallas, you want to give it a shot to answer the residents' concerns about the meters and the convalescence of meters and inflation and war in Ukraine and those kinds of things, and how we paid for the meters as we went?
Mr. Mayor, this summer we have had the triple threat of installing the new meters. What's driving the cost, however, are higher natural gas prices. The city generates about 75% of its power using natural gas. The cost of natural gas has nearly tripled. In fact, it went up $1 today, according to FMPA. Every dollar that the natural gas increases is about a $7 impact to our residents. The majority of cost increases our residents are seeing are in the power cost adjustment, or the PCA. This is a pass-through charge that the city charges its customers to pay for the generation of power. The city retains no portion of it. Our PCA has increased from $3 for an average customer to over $40 for the average customer. Again, the city maintains no portion of this. It is a straight pass-through. It's what is required for us to pay to generate the electricity our residents use. On top of that, we've had an abnormally hot summer. In July, there were, I want to say, 4 days in a row that were over 100 degrees. So we're compounding high consumption with high power cost adjustments, which is causing our customers to feel pressure on their utility bills. The installation of the meters is just poor timing. The meters are more accurate, so they may be reading your utilities more accurately, but they're not overreading for sure.
And I would say, because I understand what you meant, we say the installation of meters is poor timing. It allows people to point to the meters, but I actually have gotten 12 or more customers that have called in and said it was because of their ability to use the meter that they were able to mitigate some of the worst effects of this summer. We've had people that use the meters that have found leaks, use the meters that have found poor air conditioners. That because of the meter, people can actually look and see exactly when their cost is spiking, and they're saying, well, that doesn't make any sense, right? I'm not here at that time. Why is the cost going up? And it's because of an air conditioner that's set on a timer that they didn't know was set on a timer, and it's turning on when they're not even there. I mean, you just go talk to the ladies in the front office here about the stories that they have. People come in and they're upset about their bill, and we sit down with them and we look at the meter and they say, oh my goodness, now I actually know how to address that. So I understand the conspiracy theorist kind of thing that says, well, you installed a new meter and the price went up. I would actually say that the timing here has been fortuitous because the new meters are giving people the power to deal with a summer that would have been rough anyway. And I sit and listen to a lot of other cities and their commission meetings and what they're raising. You know, we had to go up 4.5%. Most other cities are going up 6, 7, 8% or higher than that. So I understand. I don't mean this to sound callous. Times are tough all over, right? But we're managing to pass forward a continuation budget where our residents are seeing 1%, 1.5%, 4.5%, when other cities are seeing 4% up to 12%. And I think it is the foresight of this commission to embark on AMI, which started 4 years ago, and now came online just in time to give people a tool to manage this. Otherwise, we'd be seeing either the same rates or higher, and we wouldn't have a way to handle it. Wouldn't have a way to look at the data and show what's going on. So I understand that some people are just never going to believe. They're just going to say, nope, you installed a new meter and my bill went up, right? Dallas, I know that the electric bill is 1 month behind. Is water bill monthly? It's right on track.
No, sir. The whole bill, the bill you got at the end of August would be for your consumption in July. The bill that's due in September is for
Which
July.
is another part that usually is very confusing, as Ms. Peggy knows, right? The bill you get is actually 2 months back. So when people say, well, my bill this month was this, and I was gone on vacation. Well, your bill was for 2 months ago. It's for the use from 2 months ago. It's not from the use from last month. And we have shouted that from the rooftops over and over and over. I'm sure it's written on the bill somewhere. If not, maybe we could put a title on the top. This bill is for 2 months ago, right? To try to help people understand, because I get it. I went on vacation and I was gone for 2 weeks, and this month was higher, but you're getting billed for the month before that, the usage. So it is tough, but I'm listening to other cities around. I'm listening to their residents, and I have other commissioners call me asking me questions about AMI because they want to do the same thing in their communities because they're seeing the benefit to the residents that the residents have.
Mr. Mayor, to answer your other question on how the project was funded.
Thank you.
This commission and the previous commissions have made it a point to fund our depreciation accounts, which is an account that the city has set up to pay for the future replacement of the utility. So every year, the commission puts money aside to make sure we have funding available to replace parts of the infrastructure that are have aged out and need to be replaced. Our meter system was more than 20 years old. It was time to be replaced. So the city used those depreciation funds that had been put away for the past 20 years to fund this new project.
And I would venture to guess that in the future, we're going to hear a lot of the same things. Y'all will pass impact fees. Those impact fees will accumulate. We'll use that money to do an infrastructure project. And someone will say, well, you redid this road here, and then the millage went up, and you had to raise the millage to do that project. And I think that, we're juggling a lot of balls here, right? There's a lot of things going on in the world. There's a lot of things going on in the county. There's a lot of things going on in our community. And so sometimes, we have to ask people to understand that there's a nuanced world out there. It's not as easy as right, left, black, white, those kind of things. We live in a world of complexities. So I hope that helps answer the question. Did you have a question, Ms. Darling?
I'll be very brief, hopefully. The question is, and I propose this to the mayor and Dallas. Okay, so you say our bills, what we received is 2 months behind. It's for
Correct.
2 months. So.
It's not for 2 months.
Well.
It's 2 months back.
2 months back.
Right.
So that's
So
what.
if you're
that's what-
July, if you get your bill in July, that's for your usage in
The bill that's
May.
due in July is for usage in May.
May.
Okay,
So
so,
the bill that's due at the end of this week is for July's consumption.
so, correct me if I'm wrong. So the next bill that we receive, residents receive in October will be for August, which may be higher,
I would say so.
Most likely.
most likely. Okay,
Because August was hot.
August was hot and the natural gas prices were higher again in August.
okay, I'm just trying to understand this so I can get my funds together, because I'm like her, I'm semi-retired and I've gone back to work, so you know, we do a lot of stuff. And then my next question is, were there any classes introduced to residents to go to these classes to learn how to use this new AMI?
There were. We had multiple public workshops. We advertised it all over the place. We tried to get people. We do have tutorials that you can watch, and we can send you a bunch of tutorials so that you can sit there. I can't promise it, but if you call up and you make an appointment ahead of time, we have gotten pretty good at doing short and sweet explanations, but we have tried really, really hard, because one of the things we talked about 4 years ago when we embarked down this road was, well, this is a powerful tool, but how do we get residents who maybe didn't grow up with technology, are not going to be as comfortable, how do we empower them to use it so that they can get the benefits of it? And so we identified right off the bat that we were going to have to go the extra mile to make sure that we're offering those classes, we're filming those tutorials, we're holding those public workshops. So, and we've done all of that. I would say they've been mediocrely attended, you know, but it's kind of hard to get people. They get excited when they open up the bill, right? And they say, oh, that's really high. I wish I could do something about it. But getting them to come to the class ahead of time
Yeah,
is a little bit more difficult.
and it's
right?
just excuse me, go ahead.
I was just going to say, Ms. Darling, my team loves explaining AMI and teaching people how to use it. So if you want to give us a call or come into City Hall one day, they love showing people how to use that system and how it can benefit you.
Okay, and maybe we can get enough people to come to the MLK or somewhere where you can do a presentation like Mr. New did for us, and everything, because the older generation, I'm sorry, back up, the seasoned people, you know, we want to learn how to do the technology and read the technology so we can help the ones that are older than us that may come in and complain, or, you know, Ms. Darling, why is my bill so high? You go to city commissioner meeting, why you can't tell me anything?
Right.
So it's just a tool, you know.
We
so-
would love to set that up.
Okay,
And Mike, I know that the 2-month billing cycle, one of the largest factors of that is that we used to have to send people out to read the meters. With AMI, are we ever going to get to a point where it's immediate billing? Are we going to be able to transition to that? Or are there just too many other factors that go into calculating that out, getting the bill out?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, the long-term goal is for our billing to be, current within the month. When you're a month in arrears, the process, because there's an extra month in there, most utilities that do this is they go to 13 billing cycles in a year to catch up. So, you get 13 bills. The benefit is well, those are usually a little bit lower bills. But the long-term thinking, or our long-term thinking, has been to get the billing cycle to be within current month and not be that 30 to 45 days in arrears.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Ms. Darling.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate it. Okay. we don't have a motion on the floor. I'll let you come down and ask one more question. I just want to make sure we're moving along. But you got to come down to talk into the microphone. But I need to get us back on track here.
Okay, I'm totally confused. When you're saying it's 2 months behind, my bill dates don't reflect that. It reflects 1 month. So I
It's
just
due
don't
at
want
the
the wrong
end of
information.
The bill that's due this week is for July's consumption.
Then the date.
There's two different, there's a billing date and then there's a read date.
Right.
The read date is the consumption. The billing date's an internal, like, accounting mechanism. The read dates are the dates between where we read your meters.
Okay, so from 12 to, this is just the top one I have, to 12:30.
Yes, ma'am.
And that bill I got on January 26th. That's
Right, and it,
1 month.
and it would have been due February 15th.
Why don't you come in? We'd be glad to meet with you one-on-one, because this sounds like a let's go through your bill.
Confused.
And we'll be happy to sit down with you across the desk and we can go through your bills and explain it to you. Okay, that takes us to item 12, right? Ordinance 2022-45. Mr. Attorney, would you read that into the record for us,
Yes,
please?
sir, Mr. Mayor, this is an ordinance amending ordinance 2021-36, providing consent for the entire corporate limits of the city of Newberry, Florida, to be included in a non-ad valorem assessment for municipal services benefit unit created by Alachua County for the provision of solid waste management costs, providing conditions for the consent, providing that the consent is only for 1 year, and providing an immediate effective date. The appropriate motion is to pass ordinance number 2022-45 upon its first reading by title only.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Assistant Manager Lee, would you go ahead and take us through this presentation?
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. As the commission's aware, every year Alachua County requests authorization to levy a municipal services benefit unit within the city of Newberry to provide solid waste services. The county solid waste department receives its funding in two different methods, between tipping fees collected at the transfer station and between this assessment. This assessment specifically funds the rural collection centers, engineering compliance and monitoring, the Office of Waste Alternatives, and the Household Hazardous Waste Program. The MSBU rate for the residential customers this year is $20.47, which is the same rate as has been levied in the last 2 years.
Okay, thank you. Okay, the recommended action is to pass ordinance 2022-45. Do we have any questions? Are we ready to move to a motion? I have a motion of approval from Commissioner Farnsworth. Second. Second from Commissioner Mazon. Any comments, questions on the motion on the floor from the dais? Public comments, questions on the motion on the floor? I will say the county gave the waste management companies a little bit of notice ahead of time on this one. Maybe I'm
This is a
convoluting my issue.
This is a different issue.
Yeah, I'm on a different topic in my brain, sorry. Okay, any public comments on the motion on the floor? We're talking about waste management costs.
Yes.
Come on down, ma'am.
So I know there was a rate increase last year, and you're talking about another rate increase for this coming year. Most people, do we really have to have 2 pickups per
We
week?
get a cheaper rate at 2 pickups a week than most cities around us at 1 pickup a week.
Because, I mean, I know our garbage cans
Yeah.
usually not even full.
Commissioner Martin?
You're actually mixing two things, Ms. Gaffney. There's the curbside pickup service. This has more to do with the municipal or the services within the county for the rural collection places.
Okay.
Like in High Springs, there is one in Archer. Those are remote places, not the curbside. So
We're not talking about
that's a different-
curbside.
Yeah, that's a different thing.
Okay.
Correct.
That's-
If we vote this down, then that cost skyrockets, right? So if we all participate in the MSBU, everybody gets a much cheaper rate. If cities start opting out, then everybody's costs go way back up. So if we were to vote this down, we would have to go back into the budget that we just passed and fix it, because your cost would go up for your monthly pickup.
Okay, I was just question. Thank you.
Just to clarify, there is no rate increase on either the city's portion of solid waste or the MSBU. And the $20.47 for the county is a once-a-year annual fee, not a monthly fee.
Okay, any other public comment? Roll call, Commissioner Coleman? Aye. Commissioner Clark?
Aye.
Commissioner Farnsworth?
Aye.
Commissioner Martin?
No.
Commissioner Mazon? Motion passes 4-1, Commissioner Martin in dissent. And that takes us to item 13. Mr. Thomas, you want to come down as I ask the attorney to read ordinance 2022-38/CPA 22-11 into the record.
Mr. Mayor, this is an ordinance of the City of Newberry, Florida, amending ordinance number 4-91 as amended relating to the future land use element, specific location sub-element of the City of Newberry Comprehensive Plan. Under the expedited amendment procedures established in sections 163.3184, 2, and 3 of the Florida statutes, and in conformance with sections 163.3161 through 163.3215 of the Florida statutes, amending the visioning sub-element and deleting in its entirety the specific location sub-element of the future land use element pertaining to certain lands within the corporate limits of the City of Newberry, Florida, providing severability, repealing all ordinances in conflict, providing the effective date. The appropriate motion is pass ordinance number 2022-38 upon its reading by title only.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Thomas?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So this is basically the first draft of the amendments the City of Newberry is suggesting, which will bring it into compliance with the state's Department of Economic Opportunity rules for our every 7-year evaluation and appraisal reports. They're due every 7 years. Ours was due last year. We told them, yes, we do need to make some amendments, and they gave us until August 2nd, so we are a little behind on it, and this will get us back into compliance. So basically, the EAR, as it's called, asks 2 questions. Is your comp plan still in compliance with any new state laws that have been passed since the last time you did your EAR amendments? And have there been significant local changes that you feel need to be incorporated into your comprehensive plan to reflect those changes? So CPA 2022-11 represents the first phase of the comprehensive plan changes. We had actually intended on doing this last year, but we, as you're all well aware, we got wrapped up in a lot of other projects like the overlay district and things, and CRA and everything else, and so it slowed us down a bit, and so now we're going to get caught up. This is like I said, the first phase, and then after this phase, we're going to have some more work done with our consultant that are going to address a lot of other elements. So this is sort of the easy one that we've done in-house with staff. We have a consultant that we're going to bring on that's going to help us with the more difficult and substantive changes next round. And so these are the elements that are not touched in this particular amendment phase, but we will be addressing in the next round of phases, next round of changes. So basically, this will amend the City of Newberry Comprehensive Plan future land use element in 2 areas, the Newberry Visions sub-element, which is the text description of the vision of the City of Newberry. And so the sub-element was based on vision sessions that had been conducted back in 2004, and then some a little bit again, I think, in 2012. And this one, basically, we've amended it to reflect a lot of the work that you all did last year, which was the visioning and strategic planning workshops, the overlay district work that y'all did, and then also the finding of necessity for the CRA. So all of those elements have sort of been blended into the visioning sub-element in our comprehensive plan in these amendments. And then also the specific location sub-element, basically we're deleting that in its entirety. If you remember, we took a piece of this out for the Avalon Woods project, and this takes out the remaining portions of the of this sub-element. And basically, as described before, this was a holdover from when the Department of Economic Opportunity was Department of Community Affairs. They would basically come back with their suggestions. We'd submit to them after the first reading on a comprehensive plan amendment for a project. They would come back and say, issue their objections or their recommendations, and then once that was done, they would make the city basically enshrine those densities and intensities for that project in the comprehensive plan. And the main reason for doing that was because if we ever want to change it, then they would be able to review that change again, and it kind of put the power back in their hands to either object or make recommendations that the city would then have to negotiate again. With the fact that DCA is no longer in existence, and Department of Economic Opportunity doesn't do that level of review and doesn't have those types of requirements anymore, this all becomes superfluous, and it makes it very difficult for you all to make any amendments if desired on these remaining projects. And some of the projects are already built out anyway, so it doesn't make sense to have them on the books. So these are the 5 that are still in there. And just so you know, these are the locations. You can see that 0310, 061, and 0401, those are all developed out. And so again, it really doesn't mean anything. There was one passed for the area north of Newtown that has never been acted on. It would eliminate that. And then this is Newberry Ridge, which is down on Southwest 30th, the unpaved section east of State Road 45. And it would, again, take all of the limitations that are placed on that in the comp plan out. It can't be changed without your approval anyway, but this makes it easier. You can make the approval without having to go back to the state for their blessing. So the Planning and Zoning Board recommended approval of Ordinance 2022-38, CPA 2022-11 on to the Commission. And so staff recommendation is to approve Ordinance 2022-38 on first reading.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Thomas. We got any questions? Brian, the Newberry Ridges was an example of just the power structure. Are there any projects that are on tap that we're coming for the commission that are going to be paused until this amendment process is completed? Do we have anything in the pipeline that's going to have to?
Mr. Mayor, this actually, assuming the commission approves this on first reading tonight, we provide it tomorrow to DEO, and from what I was told by DEO, we're automatically at that point, once we've provided it to them, we're back on track. We don't have to pause anything any further.
Okay, all right. So do I have a motion to approve ordinance 2022-38? I have a motion from Commissioner Martin, second from Commissioner Coleman. Any comments, questions on the motion on the floor from the dais? Public comments, questions on the motion on the floor? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion passes unanimously. We don't have an item 14, so that's going to take us to our first agenda item. New item 14, old item 15, National and Florida Opioid Settlement Participation Opportunities. Mr. New?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We received correspondence from the Florida Attorney General's office that notified us that there had been some settlements at both the state and the national level that resulted in funding opportunities related to the opioid epidemic. And they encouraged us to either apply for those funds so that whatever we received could be utilized to benefit our residents, or if we elected not to apply for those funds, then to express to them our desire to allocate our funds, any funds that we might be entitled to Alachua County. Again, the Attorney General's mindset is that she wants to get any of those funds as close to the community as she possibly can. And so by my gathering, they sent similar correspondence to 415 other cities and 67 counties that says, please go get this funding and do something with it to benefit our community. We have until September the 30th to notify them that we could do something to benefit our residents with those funds, or we request that they be allocated to Alachua County, seek the commission's direction on how they would like to proceed.
The Newberry Opioid Task Force is actually in the city of Alachua tonight, presenting to Alachua. so far we have successfully brought every city that we presented to into a group fold. And that's going to create a subcommittee that will run an awareness campaign. You guys funded the Rad Kids portion of that. I mean, I guess what I would recommend, because before we allocate whatever portion we would be entitled to anyone else, we would need to know what they're going to do with it. I would say we should ask for our portion for ourselves, and then we could offer that up if we liked a larger plan. Say we got X amount, we can put that in the pot. We were able to get the Rad Kids training in Newberry Elementary School this year. We have 17 coaches teaching elementary school age kids how to recognize dangerous situations, what to do in dangerous situations, how to respond to those things. And Rad Kids is the only program in the nation that doesn't just teach kids drugs are bad. It also teaches kids what to do. How do you get away from a bully? Where do you poke them in the eye? If they've got you trapped in the bathroom, right? How do you respond to that? How do you report it, right? How do you find an adult? So I love this idea. I think that what we should do is we should ask for whatever Newberry's portion is. Mike, are you getting the sense that it's going to be divvied up and dispersed, or is this going to be a competitive grant writing type of situation? You'll get whatever you get. Okay.
The first.
So I would say let's ask for Newberry's portion to come to Newberry, and then we can have a conversation about whether or not we want to continue to team up as a county or whether we want to address it ourselves. Commissioner Martin?
Mr. Mayor, I agree. I mean, if we have it, we can always give it to whoever we want to give it to.
Right.
Whereas if we relinquish that responsibility up front, there's no telling what could happen. So I'm in favor of keeping it here or applying internally.
Okay.
Is this a motion?
I don't think we need a motion at this point. I think we just send the letter.
We got it.
Okay. So
We
we
got it.
provided
We'll-
enough direction.
We'll advise them that we would like the funds to come to Newberry.
Okay. All right. Head
Thank you,
nods,
Mr. Mayor.
up, down. Thank you. We have, Mr. Thomas, if you'll make your way back down. As we've had conversations, board member Linda Woodcock has needed to resign from our planning and zoning. So she is on the planning and zoning board and the HARB, the Historical Architecture Review Board, because the HARB mirrors the planning and zoning, and then there's two more people on the HARB. So we need to do resolution 2022-62 and 61, but we would ask that to be the same person. Anything else in the presentation you need to give, Brian, or is that?
Just, Mr. Mayor, this entails service on both the Planning and Zoning Board and the HARB Board as one, because this person would be the Planning and Zoning Board member, and part of being a Planning and Zoning Board member entails being also on the Historic Architecture Review Board. It is with a sad heart that we have this opening. We will miss Ms. Woodcock. She's been on it for a good while now and been on it in years past. And so unfortunately, we have the opening to fill, but the commission is basically tasked with appointing her replacement, and that replacement will fill out the remainder of the term of Ms. Woodcock, which is through 2025, so it's almost 2 years, April of 2025. And the commission can either make, we'd like to fill it, of course, as quickly as possible. The commission can make a nomination from the floor right now for if they have somebody in mind, or you could take.
Historically, Commissioner Coleman,
Yeah, I'd like to nominate Kathy
Kathy Thomas.
Thomas.
Linda Woodcock's daughter. Okay, I have a motion to nominate Kathy Thomas.
Second.
The motion was made by Commissioner Coleman, the second was made by Commissioner Clark. Any comments or questions on the motion floor? I will say that historically, we have given credence to the person who's stepping down. This is who Ms. Linda has asked to fill in her seat. She feels like Kathy shares the same vision, has the same heart, and would fill out her role as close to what she would do if she were there herself. Any questions, comments? On the dais, okay? Any public questions or comments? All right, and I would, before we ask for the motion, I'd just echo Brian's sentiments that we're gonna miss her on the P&Z. We're gonna miss that voice. We're gonna miss those old stories, you know, about old Newberry, and we're gonna miss those pound cakes too. That being said, all those in favor signify by saying aye. I'm sorry, do we need to read the resolution in the title?
We should.
I'm sorry. Yeah. Let's do that one at a time.
Yes, sir. Mr. Mayor, this is Resolution 2022-62, amending Resolution 2022-15, Resolution 2021-28, Resolution 2020-11, Resolution 2019-16, Resolution 2018-19, Resolution 2017-14, and Resolution 2017-17, a resolution of the City of Newberry, Florida, appointing members of the Planning and Zoning Board of the City of Newberry, Florida, establishing calendar year appointment terms, repealing all resolutions in conflict, and providing an effective date. And of course, this motion is to place Miss Kathy on the Planning and Zoning Board. Kathy Thomas.
And that motion is made by Commissioner Coleman, seconded by Commissioner Clark. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion passes unanimously. Mr. Attorney, would you read 22-61 into the record for us?
Happy to do so. This is Resolution 2022-61, amending Resolution 2022-16, and Resolution 21-30, and Resolution 2020-51, a resolution of the City of Newberry, Florida, appointing members to the Historic Architectural Review Board of the City of Newberry, Florida, establishing calendar year appointment terms, repealing all resolutions in conflict, providing an effective date. The appropriate motion is to pass Resolution 2022-61 as read by title only.
Have a motion from Commissioner Coleman. Okay, a motion from Commissioner Coleman, second from Commissioner Clark. Any comments, questions, motion on the floor? Public comments, questions on the motion on the floor? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion passes unanimously, and that takes us to comments. City Manager, welcome back one more time. Here we go.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just have a few pages. Missed a few of these meetings.
Yeah, just trying to prove how much energy he's got, yeah.
Mr. Mayor, I, in all seriousness, want to begin with a public thank you to the community, to the commission, to our staff. The love that I have felt, that my wife has felt, the support that we have felt has been overwhelming, and I do not kid you about that. Just tremendous to know that in a community where I have burned as many bridges that I have, that there are still some people that won't kick a dog when he's down. No, I'm just kidding. Tremendous outpouring of love, and it continues. I got a call today from someone I hadn't spoken to in 8 years, and I just heard, and what a great community to live in. That has been reinforced to me, and it has energized me to the point that I came back to work about 8 weeks before the doctors thought I shouldn't. I'm kidding. Mr. Mayor, I wanted to also thank and commend Jamie and Dallas for jumping in right in the middle of budget season and the beginning of hurricane season when nothing else is going on. But both did a yeoman's job, almost to the point that they were kind of the opposite of this effect of getting encouraged to come in early. I was thinking, well, crap, they may be doing better without me. So really want to commend our teams. Yeah, I would say that just 4 weeks before you evaluate me. But tremendous job. I promise that next year I won't go to this extent to avoid budget meetings. We'll come up with a better compromise next year. But it is a real medical challenge, but but what you see in people's human spirits and their willingness to help out and encourage and call and just say, words of encouragement have been tremendous. As you know, I notified you a couple weeks ago. I'm back halftime, and it's a stair-step process. So this week I'm up to 3/4 time, and then around October the 1st, I'll be back full-time. So you guys have about 2.5 weeks to whatever shenanigans are going to happen when the cat's away. You have until the 1st of October. And then this finally, Mr. Mayor, just to, I sent the commission an update on a meeting with FDOT related to the twin pairs. I guess it was encouraging that the project is still on track, because I think that Newberry's seen these projects come in the past, and we've never seen them come to fruition. I feel like the DOT's commitment is certainly there, but their timing has slowed way down. I mean, when we first started having these conversations with them, they felt like the outside was 2025, and now they feel like that 2025 is simply a pipe dream. It's currently funded in the 2029 fiscal year, but they're hoping to accelerate it to 2027. Part of what slowed them down, they've spent almost 2 years in design now, is they made an executive decision about a year ago to pull the roadway south out of the old CSX right-of-way, and that was going to result in, I think, 5 or 7 homes in Newberry being acquired and demolished. And all of the public meetings we had had up to that point, it indicated that there was just 2, I think. There was one at the end of the road here, and our community, whether it was their house or not, our community was concerned about what was happening with their neighbors. And we felt like that was not telling the full story. You couldn't shift gears that late in the game and not tell anybody about it. So we encouraged FDOT to reconsider. And so after 6 months of reconsidering, they came back and they said, we are going to move it back, but that's going to slow us down. And I thought that, one, they get to make all those calls, but I thought that for something so important to our community, that it absolutely was worthwhile. So we had transmitted a letter to them 6 months ago with a number of asks, some big, some small. That was the big ask, and they agreed to that. Some of the other asks they haven't agreed to, and we're evaluating what we think we should do. Some of them are, don't worry about it. Some of them are probably pretty important to us, and we may try to come up with a plan B. But just wanted to let you know that's moving on. I've got iteration number 99 of the plan in my office. If you want to see it one day, let me know, and we'll get it out here on a table. It's a big full-size drawing, and you can kind of see what their latest, greatest plan is. Mr. Mayor, that concludes my comments.
Thank you, sir. Welcome back, and I think my phone probably went off for about 7 to 10 days straight of folks all over the county commissioners, sheriff, state elected officials, people that I didn't know, just wanting to send their condolences to you and your wife for having to go through that, wanting constant updates. So you are well loved, and we're glad to have you back.
Thank you.
I know that Dallas and Jamie are glad to have you back as well, because you know how demanding the mayor is on the phone, and Dallas he fielded all those 7 a.m. phone calls for a few weeks, so we appreciate it. Yeah.
It's 6:15 at my house.
Yeah. Well,
we're going to have a conversation.
I was trying to be nice. All right, Mr. Attorney.
Mark of a good manager is you don't skip a beat when you have a problem like that. And Dallas did a terrific job, and Jamie did as well. So that's a compliment to you. And I want to say welcome back as well. You look a lot stronger every time I see you, so you're doing great. And keep up what you're doing. Mr. Mayor, December 14th, 4 o'clock at our office is the annual ethics presentation that we'll do. You get your 4 hours in. Hopefully we will have a little bit of entertainment for you in your 4 hours of ethic training. And you all are welcome. There'll be other city commissioners and mayors there and other staff members. So we'll look forward to seeing you. And we'll get out the formal invitations here shortly. And
Dinner's always good.
dinner should be good, and hopefully we'll have something for you to munch on and drink and all that sort of thing, and be entertained with the presentation as well. That's all I had, Mr. Mayor.
All right, thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
We appreciate that invitation. Madam Clerk?
I don't have anything, but I would like to echo your and our attorney's comments. Welcome back. You were missed, and we're glad to have you back with us.
And if you haven't been in his office, I mean, a heart attack's done him good. You can see the desk. He's a brand new man. Yeah.
I'm afraid that if I had waited 2 more weeks, it would have been completely clean. So got back just in the nick of time.
I just got a notification the city of Alachua has unanimously voted to join the opioid task force efforts. That brings us to 7 cities that have combined together. This is the very first time that the county has come together like this to work unanimously towards one goal. So good night to talk about maybe having some opioid funding coming in. That takes us to the commissioners. Commissioner Coleman.
Well, I got one thing. Dues for the Miracle Club, Mike, is $100, so just letting you know that. And I don't know when our next meeting is, but I want you there.
Commissioner Clark.
I will, probably as everybody. I hope, Mike, you got your red books. They were on your desk. Okay. I know we talked about that, and but welcome back, and glad to see you getting stronger. And God bless America.
Commissioner Farnsworth.
I also welcome you back, Mike, and we missed you, so it's good to have you back, man. And do we have a meeting Wednesday?
We do have a, to my announced workshop on Wednesday, September 14th, 7 p.m. It's the half-cent sales tax. We can start having that conversation.
Okay. And God bless America and all the people that are in it. And may the Queen's soul rest in peace.
There you go. Well done. Well done, sir. Thank you.
And go what?
Oh, hey.
What happened to those Gators?
Hey, he gets to join the Miracle Club. We got to go Gators out of Commissioner Farnsworth. That's a miracle right there. All right, Commissioner Martin.
I know that I brought up bench strength in several different times that we've spoken, and to see it in practice while you're out was great. I think it really was fantastic. Glad to have you back. They were good, but they're not necessarily your substitute because they had a lot of other stuff to do too. But great to have you back. I will not be here for that meeting on Wednesday.
Okay,
so that's all.
Okay, Commissioner Maison.
Mike, welcome back. I will be setting an appointment with you soon. Very informative. Kept me on point, and I missed that. So, just look forward to my call. Now, with Newberry Main Street, they have contracted a new executive director. Her name is Charmaine Manning, as Marlo knows, and I'll be speaking for her right now. She also, along with other board members, are currently attending Florida Main Street Fall Leadership Development hosted by Ormond Beach Main Street in conjunction with the city of Ormond Beach, who maintain a strong partnership. The education focus is a disaster partnership, preparedness for the business community. They are looking forward to bringing back valuable insight that will be helpful for all. In addition, they are working with the Florida Department of Economics, opportunities providing a training session on disaster preparedness for Newberry's business and communities, leaders, and partners. And lastly, they receive numerous briefings related to available grants that may be able to work together to leverage for economic development. And now from hang on a second. And help me if I missed something here. With Concerned Citizen, they're finalizing their fruit basket giveaway to senior citizens as well as disabled residents on Saturday, November the 19th. And the Thanksgiving community are working on a Thanksgiving community meal giveaway on Saturday, November the 20th. And they are accepting donations. Okay. Did I miss anything? I think I got everything. And final. That's it. You ready for it? 3-letter word that starts with gas. Anybody? Three-letter word that starts with gas.
I think car too. Car. I would say car.
Three-letter word that starts with gas. Gas. My man.
I like cars better. I thought cars a better answer too. Yeah, I'd go with that. Oh, okay. So we've already talked about the workshop. The workshop on Wednesday, I think it's Mr. Jones is prepared to give us a presentation. We've asked to dust off all of our maps, reviewing which roads inside our city limits are ours, which are the counties, which are the states. Our policy of ranking those roads so that we know what are in the top priorities. We want to be prepared in the event that this passes, that we're not just throwing out roads, we should do this road, we should do that road, that we have a systematized way to assess our roads and their needs. So I'm really looking forward to Wednesday night because I need a refresher. It's been a few years since we looked at all those maps. And we have a lot of roads that have segments in them, and this segment is ours and that segment is, and it gets really confusing and all twisted up in our heads. That workshop will also be the infrastructure and the wild spaces, right? So that we have some projections about what could happen there. We need to come to that meeting also, just keeping in mind that if it passes the half cent on infrastructure, City Hall, regional wastewater, right? So there's a lot of infrastructure, 15th, Seaboard Drive, right? So we can think about roads, we can think about 100% of it going to roads, we can think about mixing it up a little bit and taking out little pieces. So we have a lot of considerations that I think we need to, spend a good chunk of time thinking about. So Wednesday night is to get our brains, headed down that avenue, not to make any decisions, it's just to refresh about what roads we have, how much we would need if we wanted to do all the roads, those kinds of things. So I don't think it will be, terribly lengthy, but I know you guys and how excited you get talking about infrastructure. So it wouldn't surprise me that goes for hour and a half, right? Just on the road section. Staff, right, bring some coffee. I'd like everybody to go ahead and just block off every weekend in December leading up to Christmas because Main Street and the Chamber have answered Newberry's call to make Newberry the Christmas capital of Alachua County. Both of those organizations have dug deep financially to support that effort, and they are true partners. What Main Street has planned to decorate the businesses downtown. Every single weekend leading up to Christmas, there's going to be an activity going on. So starting from our Christmas tree lighting ceremony, which is December 3rd, we're moving it to a Saturday so that there was a competing something on Friday night. And we're just trying to make every Saturday night there's going to be something going on. So we'll have the Christmas market to kick it off, the tree lighting ceremony. I don't want to steal their thunder about the things that they got planned, but it's going to be a really fun Christmas season. So the more that you guys, certainly don't expect you to be at every single event, but the more you can show your face and show up every single Saturday night. And then I think they're even planning on some Friday night stuff as well. And I know they'd love you guys to be there. I think I told you guys, but on Thursday last week, High Springs voted to enter into formal negotiations on the regional wastewater. I've already talked to Representative Clemens and Senator Perry about that. Every time another city joins us, I think that gives us more leverage to go back to Tallahassee and ask them to dig deep, because every time they help our regional wastewater, they're not just helping Newberry, they're helping Archer, High Springs, and potentially Trenton. Trenton is the only one who hasn't formally, but we're telling them about it. High Springs, the Tallahassee has been really excited. We've been successful. Staff's been successful at getting some grants. Every time we get $1 million, $4 million. Well, that brings the total cost down, which means that it's more attractive to everybody that's involved in that situation. So, really exciting times. Had a meeting with County Commissioner today about 337. It was on her radar. She brought it up to me. I didn't bring it up to her. She brought it up to me. So I think that as a good sign. She's making a lot of progress on the meat packing plant. So she went and addressed the Farm Bureau today, said that went over great. And I just told y'all about the opioid task force. So on all these different fronts, we are making some really good progress, pulling people together, blazing trails. So that does it for my comments. Unless anybody has any questions about any of those. Public comments. Now you have 5 minutes to address the commission about anything you want to talk about. Doesn't have to be on the agenda. Come on down. Make a cue.
This is for Monty. There's a wonderful volleyball match tomorrow. I'm sure you already know about it. It's Florida State. It's a big one every year. So come out.
Who's the powerhouse in volleyball? Soccer is FSU. Football's been
I
kind
don't
of
know.
sad.
It's kind of
all
gone
the last
back and
few years.
forth.
It goes back and forth, so it's up in the air. It'll be
They
good
have a very
rivalry.
good team.
All right.
We have a pretty good team.
Because the FSU soccer is a powerhouse, right? Lady soccer.
I
is a
try not to pay
powerhouse.
attention to that.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
That's
yeah.
un-American.
All right. Other public comment. Oh, come on back.
Real quick. 60 Minutes yesterday. Anybody here see 60 Minutes yesterday?
I don't have TV.
Talk about a major tearjerker.
The Queen?
No,
No?
9/11. Yeah, it was just as touching now as it was a long time ago.
You know, we, every year, the schools, we play memorials and we do something for 9/11. This year, 9/11 was on a weekend, so we weren't able to actually do it on the actual day. But it's important to realize that the students in high school, they weren't alive when 9/11 happened, you know, and they've never lived in a world where 9/11 didn't happen. So they have no idea what it's like to live in a world where you don't have to be thinking of terrorism, thinking of threats like this. And it's getting, well, and it's getting to a point where it's kind of like Pearl Harbor. You know, I remember my grandfather till the day he died. He remembered Pearl Harbor every December 7th. He talked about it. He reminisced. And to me, that's always been history. It's a history books, right? And I think 9/11 is starting to get that way for our young people. But I am always pleased to say that in Newberry, when we remember that day, kids stand a little bit taller for the pledge, right? Everybody's quiet and respectful. I don't know what happens in other places of the world, but I'm proud of our kids and the way that they handle that.
We just ain't proud of our government, the way they pulled out, so.
Yeah.
I agree.
We had a moment of silence. We watched the memorial. Last year was the 20th anniversary, and we put the 2,997 flags on the football field to recognize the 20-year anniversary.
Did they do it this year?
We didn't do it this year. We did. I appreciate the city putting the flags out. That looked great. Oh yeah, nice. Okay. Any other public comment? Come on down, sir.
You're speaking of 9/11 as a youth pastor. I certainly bring that up, but something I bring up to them that they haven't seen also was what happened on 9/12 when the whole world came together.
Yeah.
We were a different country. We'd slow down and let people in and kind to people, and they haven't seen that.
Yeah.
This generation of student sees bickering, uncommitted Americans to each other, parties that can't agree on what time of the day it is, much less where we should go forward. So as a youth pastor, I look at these students, especially my 11th and 12th graders, they're going to be voting soon, and I'm trying to equip them so that they could be in your seats, but also to be a gentler nation, love one another like we did on 9/12, and that has slipped away from us. But we know why. We walked away from God, and that's what's happened. But blessings on you guys. Thank you for allowing me to be here tonight.
We appreciate it. One of my favorite commercials hit that point. The terrorists wanted to change America, and it shows a street with no American flags, and then 9/12, every house has an American flag on it. It says they did, right? They brought us together. So we appreciate that thought. Any last comments? Hearing none, we are adjourned.